Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our YouTube Live. Today, myself and I'm joined by Ellie are going to be speaking about farm jobs in Australia. So, my name's Ella. I have now worked at BUNAC, I think it's nearly 4 years. I'm our customer experience manager, and I have been to Australia on my working holiday. And it was probably one of the best things I've ever done. And I actually managed to stay over there for 2 years. So I'm sure we'll go into a bit more about that soon. But Ellie, we're joined by Ellie today. So hi, Ellie.
Hi Ella, hello
How are
everyone.
you?
I'm Ellie and I'm BUNAC coordinator, and one of the programs I work on is the Work Australia program, and I spent a year working and traveling around Australia.
What a country, hey? It's beautiful over there. So some of the things that we're going to cover today together is just some of the top locations to do your farm work in Australia. So if you're not too sure about what you can do and where, we're going to cover that a little bit. We're both going to share our stories, so snippets of our diary and our time in Australia on farms, which actually are both similar in some ways and different in the other, in the way that one's paid and one wasn't. So that'll be great to get into that. Then Ellie's going to talk a little bit about if you're looking for that second year or third year visa even for Australia. And then we're just going to cover how BUNAC actually help you find that job on a farm. We will have a Q&A at the end. So any questions that you do have, please feel free just to drop them in the comment box and we'll try and go over them at the end. And yeah, that's how we're going to start. So first of all, what is farm work in Australia? Now, kind of sounds really what it is. It's farm work, right? But it's so varied in Australia. You can be doing things such as working with cattle. You could be doing essential maintenance on a farm. A lot of people go over there for like harvesting crops or picking and packing fruit and veg. There's also working at stations for like station cooks in rural Australia. If you're interested in working maybe on a ranch with the horses, there's a lot of that over there. Or even if you're kind of not looking for that hands-on experience, you might be looking more for like an au pair position. And this can happen, on a farm in the rural Australia, and it will class as like your farm work in Australia. So quite a lot you can be getting up to and in quite a lot of places. So if I just move you across to the map that we've got up here, you can see there is literally farm work all over, and we've kind of focused a little bit on things that maybe you could pick or pack, as this is very popular in Australia. And as you can imagine, Australia at the moment with COVID, the borders being closed, this is something that and these areas are really screaming out for people and us working holiday lot to come across and get this work complete, because they are really struggling at the moment to have people fill these positions. So if you fancy to go to Darwin, maybe you could be picking mangoes or melons, and that is all year round. If you look at South Australia, that's where I was based for my farm work. There is a lot you can be doing there. It's very popular for citrus. It's also popular for apples and nuts. So again, a big variety. I know a lot of people have probably heard of how nice the wine and the wine culture is over in Australia. So if you fancy getting behind, you know, picking and packing the grapes and the berries, you can do this. A very popular place is definitely Hunter Valley. I've actually been to the vineyard there and it is beautiful. So if you do have an interest in that, then yeah, definitely lots of locations that you can be helped with. And picking and packing is definitely seasonal in places. So, if you've decided you're going to work your way up the East Coast and you want to stop off and maybe do some work along the way, there's lots of different places that you can do that. And it will depend on the season of what you would be picking or packing at that time. So I was based in South Australia. Where were you based, Ellie?
About 2 hours inland from Brisbane, so a
Oh,
little town
nice.
called Lowood, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a minute.
Yeah, sweet. Two completely opposite sides. So nice. I like that. So yeah, Ellie, if you want to share a bit more about that story and your time on the farm, some nice pictures of you there getting involved. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. The first picture is of a cucumber house, which is a very interesting place to be. It gets very hot in there when the sun is shining. But the farm I worked on or went to was an organic farm. So it's part of the woofing process. So woofing basically means willing work on organic farms. And I had no idea this even existed before I went to Australia. And me and my friend were literally on the East Coast, didn't have any idea what we were going to do. We wanted the sun to come out in Sydney, so we had a few months to kind of sort ourselves out. So we were up actually in Ayr, which was on the other map, and we were trying to get paid work, and there was just no jobs in packing and stuff like that. But we were staying in this backpacker hostel, and there was loads of other people looking for farm work and things like that. And someone said, "Oh, have you thought about woofing?" I was like, no, don't know what that is. So they gave us the woofing book, and
Oh, nice.
me and my friend, and we met this Irish girl called Neve as well. We're like, all right, we'll give this a go. So we literally opened a page, found this farm in Lowood, never heard of it, didn't know where it was, and rang the farmer and was like, oh, do you want 3 backpackers in like a week's time? And he was like, yeah, that's cool, no worries. So basically we got ourselves to Brisbane, got on a bus to the middle of nowhere,
As
and
you do in
the
Australia.
Farmer Bill met us in the town of Lowood, and he picked us up and took him back to the farm. So basically, with woofing, you don't get paid, but you get your food and accommodation included. And so it's a bit more, if you want kind of an Australian lifestyle, it's and immerse yourself in their culture, then it's a great way to do that, because you actually like live on the farm. So we lived in Farmer Bill's house with him and his family, and we helped out obviously on the farm with like picking and packing. Fridays were always a good day because it was market day, so we get to pick the fruit and the veg. On his farm he had like cucumbers, lettuces, beetroot, so it was a massive farm with lots of acres and acres. And so on a Friday, we helped pick and pack for him to go to market and sell his produce so he could make his money that way. So
Oh, wow,
yeah, it was
nice.
great. But Lowood literally had 1 pub and 2 shops. So there wasn't much going on. So you kind of make your own entertainment. So we found a local pub that had a karaoke. So we would go to
Nice.
karaoke night once a week. But because you live a kind of an Australian lifestyle, so his children were roughly our age, so we would hang out with them after we'd worked and go and live like their lifestyle, so go to their friends' houses, immerse into their kind of life. So that was really cool.
Yeah, nice.
With woofing, you generally only work a few hours a day, so you do like 4 to 6 hours, so it's not full time or long hard days as it will be if you were paid, really.
Yeah. Does it matter how many hours you do with them? It is like for your like board and your food, or is it kind of up to you how much you do?
Yeah, it's totally up to the farmer, really. They obviously set it up. We only would pick and pack probably a few hours, but we would do like the cooking and stuff like that as well. So help him around the farm. So
Okay.
he kind of saw that as the hours as well as what we did on the actual farm.
Yeah, nice. What would you say was like your one thing that you kind of got from farm work that you wouldn't have got in like the city, that is like your biggest memory or something you miss of Australia over there just from that experience?
I think just the space around you, like even though we lived in Lowood, that was still a 45-minute walk to the town. So just like the country and the scenery around you was absolutely amazing. And like you wouldn't get that in a city in
Yeah,
Australia. And I spent the rest of my
probably
time
couldn't get
like
that anywhere
working.
else, would you?
Yeah, no, and I spent most of my other time in Sydney, so it was such a contrast, which was amazing and like really made my experience.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing. I mean, if anyone is interested in woofing over there, we do also help, like Ellie said, with that little book to tell you of these different areas in Australia. So that is something that we are able to help with. You know, if you're in between trips and you just want to save some money on food and rent, I think it's an excellent way to see the country and get behind the farmers and learn a new trick when you're over there, right?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
had a little bit of a different experience than Ellie. Mine was a paid farm job. So as you can see, these are a few of my token photos. I mean, I had so many, I could have picked quite a few, to be totally honest with you. But on the bottom right, you can see quite a big boat. This boat is called the Murray River Queen, and it is where I lived with, I think there was 110 of us. It's called like a working holiday like hostel, and it allows you to basically pay your rent while you're there, and they will provide you with work within that area. So as I said before, it was in South Australia, in a little town called Waikerie. And very similar to Ellie, there really wasn't a lot around. I can remember like a shop that you could buy your food from, a pub, and a petrol station. And I think there was one fish and chip shop and something you call an op shop, which is basically like a charity shop over here. So yeah, very, very small, really not a lot around at all. And if you look very carefully on that photo of the boat, there's a minibus right at the front. Now, what would happen is pay your rent to live there, you'd be promised work, and you'd have to work every day basically to get signed off for your second year visa. And that is why I wanted to go, because I fell in love with Australia in my first 6 months there. And I found out if I wanted to do my second year, I needed to get 88 days regional work done. And that's how I landed up here. So I moved from, I was near Melbourne. I decided to do a road trip all the way across the Great Ocean Road, ended up in Adelaide, and found this opportunity. Before that opportunity, I was one of the unlucky people that you do hear of, that got myself into a bit of a sticky situation with somebody who was advertising farm work in that area. And it wasn't legit, unfortunately. But luckily, because of the rules now in Australia, that has all changed. It has to be paid work. And I was very lucky to, very similar to what BUNAC would do, find an agency and a team that would set me up with legit farm work that I could get signed off with. So I was very grateful when I arrived at this boat, even though it was a bit daunting. And as I said, their minibuses out the front, they would wake you up at 4 a.m. That is very early. I'm quite an early person at the moment anyway, but 4 a.m. was a little bit too early for me. And we would be dressed in clothes that we found at the op shop, which basically was anything long, because we were about to go for the day and pick oranges. So I worked with the citrus fruits. And if you don't know, the trees have massive thorns in them. So anything long we could find that wouldn't ruin our own clothes, we went and brought for next to nothing in the town, and we'd wear them every day at 4. We'd get on these minibuses and we'd be taken to the local farms. Now, like I said, there isn't a lot in Waikerie, but there for like shop wise, but there is a lot of orange trees. I don't think I've ever seen as many orange trees in my life. Um, on the right hand side, that is 3 bins, so 3 orange bins kind of attached together on a trailer. And I met quite a lot of friends doing farm work. Some 2 of them are like my bestest friends now back here in the UK. Um, but we picked and packed them oranges all day. So you'd get dropped off at like 4, and then you would work until basically your row was clear. And if you wanted to stay on longer because you earned the money by each bin you filled, you could do. Or if you wanted to leave earlier, you could call the boat and say, I've kind of done my picking for the day. You know, I've done 2 or 3. I'm pretty happy with that and happy with that money. Can I get picked up basically? Which again bizarre, because I think it's very similar in Ellie's sense of she could do a couple of hours here or there. We could also do that, but obviously it would be our money that was affected. And now again, rules have changed around hours and wages that you have to earn, so that might be a little bit different for nowadays. But that was my experience of it. I don't think I'll ever go back to that, like knowing what it's like to work that sort of job ever again. And I think that is something that I will remember for the rest of my life. It really made my trip. Now, I absolutely love Sydney and I loved Melbourne. I loved going up the East Coast and seeing Whitsundays and Fraser Island, but I absolutely loved getting to meet people, doing my farm work, making memories with other people that were on their working holiday. So it wasn't just UK people there was people from Germany, Spain. It was all sorts on the boat, all working together. we all weren't earning a lot of money, let's be honest, but we would cook together. We would go to the local bar, like Ellie said, not for karaoke. We'd have pub quiz instead of karaoke. So I learned a few things for that. And yeah, just kind of immerse myself in, like Ellie said, the whole culture of it and get to learn what it was like for people in Wakery that actually lived there, and what they would do in their free time, and the right way of picking an orange, because believe it or not, there is the right way. um, and I think one thing I will always remember is how to put a really tall ladder, maybe double the height of me, and I'm around 5'3", into an orange tree and have it balanced well enough to be able to pick oranges in the middle of the tree without falling all the way through. And you would hear a few screams in the day where somebody hasn't quite got that right and managed to fall. Um, so yeah, I think the main difference between mine and yours, Ellie, I would say is the paid side of it. And obviously, I was trying to get my second year visa, but experience-wise, we probably both took quite a lot from it, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Did you ever see any creepy crawlies in them bushes?
I definitely did. I wasn't aware before I decided to pick oranges, but huntsman spiders live in orange trees. Um, they don't hurt you, don't worry. Huntsman spiders, actually, out of all of them, even though they're big, are the ones that kind of clear out the flies and things. But when you just, got your music in and you're casually picking your oranges and a huntsman spider comes to say hello, it's a little bit creepy. Definitely
Did you
scared me a few times on my ladder.
did you ever get seasick on the boat at night? Did it rock?
Do you know what? I had that question so much when I decided to move there as well. My parents said the same, because I do get terrible seasickness, but it's on a river, and I mean the current doesn't pick up too much. I think we had 2 or 3 storms in my whole time there. Um, and I was very lucky. I wasn't in what we call the dungeons under the boat. I was in one of these nice rooms here with the river view, so it didn't get hit too bad. It's very
That's good
lucky.
then.
Yeah,
No,
it was nice. So as I said, I done my working holiday, my farm work, sorry, for my second year working holidays. So Ellie's going to run us through a little bit information about that and what it kind of looks like for anybody out there that's also looking to do the same.
So, Australia allow you to have a second and a third year visa now. So, with the second year visa, you just need to do at least 88-day regional work within your first year. So, like Ella, you would go to a farm or some of the other places that Ella said on the first slide in the destination. So, it doesn't have to be a farm work, but it has to be regional work. And you can find out more information on the government website, which is below on the slide. Basically, you don't also have to do it all in one go. So if you want to travel around Australia and see bits and pieces, you can do a few weeks one place or a month somewhere and travel around. As long as it adds up to 88 days within your first year, then you can obtain a second year visa. And recently, in the last 2 years, Australia now, if you love Australia and you don't want to leave, they're now letting you have a third
Lucky
year visa,
people.
which is amazing because it was never around in our day. I don't think Ella would be here now if that was allowed.
Exactly.
So you can now get a third year visa. And with this one, you just have to do a little bit more regional work. It's 6 months. So within your second year visa, you'll need to do at least 6 months regional work. And the same as the second one, you don't have to do it all in one go. So you can travel around Australia, see different parts while you're doing this work. So that's a great way to travel and work at the same time and then be able to obtain your third year visa.
Yeah, that is great. You are correct, Ellie. I don't know if I would be here if there was a third year visa option, because you just fall in love with everything about Australia and how we work there and the culture and all sorts. I mean, that second year visa for me, doing the farm work was great. My cousin actually came over to Australia to do his farm work to get that second year visa, and he landed up in Darwin on like a film set for rural work. I mean, when would you ever get that opportunity, right? So if people feel like that 6 months regional work to get the third year is a little bit daunting, like Ellie said, you could do amazing things just for snippets of your time. But yeah, that is fantastic. Lucky them people, third year. So how can BUNAC support you finding farm work? I think this is really important, and I did touch on it a little bit when it came to like my snippet of my diary for my farm work. But as I said, when I first originally went to get farm work, and I'm sure Ellie, you've heard of it too, there are people out there that offer farm work, especially in places like Gumtree, and unfortunately they're not as legit as they make out. And you spend a lot of money getting to some of these farms, and there isn't the work there for you, or it isn't all what it seems to be. And you will read stories about it. There's many of blogs about it for people that have unfortunately been in the same situation and kind of been scammed out of their farm work. So I would just say to anybody out there, any advice, just make sure it's legit. I mean, the Australian government have done so much now to change this and make this more kind of protected for working holiday makers. So there are, like I said, a lot more rules around it when it comes to hours, and you've got to hit minimum wage and things like that that make sure that you are protected. But with BUNAC's support, you really are protected. You're giving yourself that extra stamp. So BUNAC have like exclusive tips in country, and guidance and kind of resources to finding your job, and especially on farms in Australia. They're all kind of checked by the team, whether you've started in Sydney or Melbourne, and there's heaps of opportunities for you to then have a look at. So you'll get like a lifetime access to the employer database, which has all these jobs listed on there. And every week you will get an updated email with highlights of the most recent work. So say you went up the East Coast, you were on a BUNAC program, you decided you wanted to start going up the East Coast, you're having a whale of a time, lots of fun, and you think, do you know what, I'm going to put the brakes on my trip for a bit. I'm going to earn a little bit of money while I'm here, and I'm going to have a look at BUNAC's weekly email just to check what's around. Maybe stop your trip and do a bit of farm work from one of them highlights on the way, and then carry on with your adventure once you've maybe earned a bit more money to continue to pay for that trip up the East Coast, because as I'm sure Ellie can vouch, that is one of the places you will spend the most money traveling up that East Coast, having a great time. um, Obviously COVID has definitely affected Australia in general, but industries like this have been really hard hit. So if you're sitting there and you're worried that by the time the borders open and we can get over there, that you're not going to be able to find work, or we're not going to have opportunities on these databases or weekly emails, you are it's not right at all. You're completely wrong there, because at the moment they are crying out for working holiday makers to come and fill these positions, because they've relied on all of us to come work in their farms to get their second year visas. It works both ways. We can apply for our visa through it, or we can like Ellie did, get some accommodation and some food while she's traveling, and the farmers can get people that they do a good job and get the work done and complete. So please don't fret. I think our team in country have said, as soon as their borders open, this is going to be a job that really will be at the forefront. The farmers are already crying out for people. So hopefully as soon as their borders are open, we can fill them spaces. And just with COVID in mind, I know a lot of you will be thinking about that. I think we all are, I'm sure. I don't know if you've booked anything recently, Ellie, but we're all looking at the terms and conditions and checking if our money's safe. And it is a thing now. What people want to know that they are protected. So BUNAC have a COVID-19 booking promise. It is something that we're all very proud of here at BUNAC to offer you guys. And basically, the key factors are you will get 100% of your money back if you cannot travel due to the COVID-19 restriction. So this could be if you've booked on and you cannot get your visa within 12 months of booking on, you will get 100% money back. And if you've got your visa granted, but then fingers crossed this doesn't happen, but say borders close again, or your travel's restricted, and you can't travel within 12 months of getting your visa, then yes, you will get 100% of your money back. If you are unsure or you've got specific questions about the COVID promise, please feel free to ask. But also check out our website. We've got all of like the terms and conditions listed. Ellie, can you think of anything around the COVID promise that you've been asked that maybe I haven't covered there?
No, I don't think so. I just think it is a really good way to, like, it's great that we are offering this. It gives you security. It means that you can get excited about your trip, get your deposit booked, so you at least know you have something in the diary. And then if all else fails and you can't go, you know that you are covered.
Yeah, exactly. Such a good point there. If you're looking to go 2022, for example, and you're thinking, oh, maybe it's a bit too early to get myself booked on and get my plans in motion, it's definitely not. Um, I remember booking my trip 12 months in advance because I was that person that had all the questions. I had so many questions. I wanted to make sure I had everything done and I wanted to spread like my plan in and get excited, I suppose, like I had something to look forward to, which we all definitely deserve this year. But like I said, any questions on that COVID promise, just let us know and we'll be happy to help. Um, and now, yeah, any questions that you have, if you've left any in the comment box, we'll be happy to help. Ellie, have you got any on your side that you can see at all?
I just got one. It says, do you have to work the whole time on the visa? So the answer is no. So you don't have to work for the whole on your first, second, or third. As long as you obviously meet the requirements to get the second and third, you can travel and be a holiday maker at the same time as working. I didn't work for the whole time on my first visa. I probably worked for 6, 7 months, and then, like Ella said earlier, travelled up the East Coast, went to
Mm.
Melbourne, did a bit of the outback. So yeah, you
Oh,
don't have to work
nice.
the whole way. It just helps obviously fund yourself to get through.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the key benefit. Like I know a lot of people that kind of try to do like 3 or 4 months of working somewhere because it would then give them a whole month to travel an area and not have to worry about money. So that working holiday is so good to like balance. You don't have to spend all your whole life savings because you want to explore Australia. You can work and travel and earn a bit of money back. And I mean, minimum wage over there is great. It's what, $20 an hour plus at the moment. So, and the rule for farm work is it's got to meet minimum wage. So definitely an opportunity to make some money along the way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I have a question here about the borders itself, of course. So we don't have an update, unfortunately, for you right now on Australia's travel and when it will be opening. Obviously, we're trying to keep as up to date as possible with this, and as we all know of COVID, everything changes constantly. But what we would say is if you are on the programme and you decided to commit with your £100 deposit, fantastic. You will get added to a Facebook group. And this is all people that have recently booked on this year and they're, looking to travel. It's not somewhere that, BUNAC could tapping in to ask you for like your flight details and things. It is somewhere that you can communicate with people that are going around the same time as you. And if there are any key updates, like we've known that travel's opening, we'll be able to give you a heads up. We'll also be able to help if you want to do like your visa this way, so we can get like the application out to you so it's ready to submit once they start accepting them. So you really can get ahead of the game if you want to earlier, but we don't have like a specific date for you. And I would be lying and if I knew, I would 100% be screaming it from the rooftops for everybody to know. But yeah, we don't have a specific date, but we're very hopeful for, what do you reckon, Ellie? End of year going into 2022?
Yeah, definitely. Time for the summer in Australia would be good, wouldn't it? To
Oh, a
get away from
lovely
this
tan.
winter.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's meant to be warm here at the moment, but you said it's raining where you are, so
Uh, yeah, to be in
I do
Australia
have
for
another
their
question
summer.
actually. Oh, definitely. I would love that. And it is very warm for sure. I've got another question about the visa itself. So, Ellie, you said that you could kind of split your, farm work as you go. You don't have to do all 88 days with one um like farm, one area. So someone's asked here just like how does that work? I knew quite a lot of people that done this, and basically you just need to make sure however many days you get with that farmer, you've kind of got all of the notification of like the date that you started and the date that you finished and the exact dates you worked with them. And then you just need to get like their Australian business number and make sure that they've got it signed off and that they are aware. So please make sure that these farms are aware that you're using it for your visa, because what will happen is when you come to submit your visa application for that second year, you have to fill in all these details of where you worked and how long for, but you also have to give them kind of a direct line so that when they contact that farmer, they can sign you off basically and say, yes, this person did this amount of time at my farm. If you don't, and you submit a visa application, it could get denied on the basis of you didn't speak to the farmer about it or you didn't grab the correct information at the time. So just make sure that you know, get everything you need if you are looking to do 2 years over there, or even 3 now for you lucky people. Any other questions from your side, Ellie, before we wrap up?
I don't think so, but I've got a question for you, Ella. What's one
Oh,
thing you think you must pack or take with
oh,
you to go to Australia?
oh gosh, there's so many things now thinking of it. English tea bags. If you are a tea lover like myself, English tea bags, you should pack them because I did miss a good cup of tea when I was over there. I mean, they do have tea bags, obviously, everywhere in the world does, but a bit of Tetley or, Yorkshire tea, whatever's your favourite, make sure you pack them. Well, what about yourself? What was the one thing you wanted to pack or wish you'd packed?
I think probably a travel towel. I don't know if many people know about
Oh,
them, but they literally fold up and they're the size of a small square and they dry within like 3 seconds. So
that is so good
especially,
for farm work. Yeah.
yeah, especially when you're traveling as well and working and you don't want a soggy towel on the back of your rucksack.
I know. I can remember trying to dry my towel up the east coast on like the Greyhound head seat of my like 7 hour road trip up the east coast. I think it was from Early Beach, and I was trying so hard to dry my towel. So I think that is probably a very good point. Are they like micro towels now and everything? They're so
Yeah,
advanced.
yeah, so good.
Okay, guys. Well, that wraps up today's YouTube live. Nearly called it Facebook Live. If you are watching it on a replay, please just let us know if you've got any questions, because we will definitely get back to them. Or if you're watching it and you want to contact us directly, we've got up there our email address, our UK number. If you're watching it from the US, we've also got a US number. Or you can check us out on the website. We do have a live chat and we do have an info box, and we're more than happy to speak to you. Or if you just want to know a bit more about mine and Ellie's experience about Australia, or see if that will help you with your trip or your planning, just let us know. We would love to hear from you, and we can't wait to start getting your adventure started for Australia. And then maybe you can share your farm stories for us and see how it's changed over the years. But that's all. So thanks, Ellie, and we
Thank
will see
you.
you all soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.